Welcome to this episode of DIY3DTech.com. In this episode, we're going to kick off the first of a kind of running series, which will be our BizTalk 101. Now, this series actually started out of a episode I did with the Mini Lathe where I talked about how I used it to make money, and I asked the question, would you guys be interested in me setting up a series, kind of following up on that? And I got 41,000 views, and I got, just tremendous response, 99.99% of it positive. So that's what this is a result of. So I'm going to kind of kick this off in this series. And I kind of want to start off with, some of the top questions. Before we do that, since I am, doing this sort of as a series and everything else, I want to put a disclaimer up there. So anything I share with you in this video, you use it at your own risk. Don't come back on me. With that being said, the next thing I want to get at is who, what, why, and when. So I think one of the important things, because again, I got some very interesting comments from some folks on the Mini Lathe video, and I kind of want to share a little bit about my background, why what I'm sharing here, makes some sense, and, it's backed by experience, not just by, what am I thinking at the moment. So give you a little bit of my background. I have a undergraduate degree in business leadership / organizational dynamics. I've got a master's or an MBA in international finance. I've spent the past 20 years traveling the globe, managing large portfolios of business. I've been a serial entrepreneur earlier in my career. I continue to be an entrepreneur now. I'm in the rental business. I've got what I call hobby businesses, things like that. So I've got a very strong background in business. With that being said, what to expect out of this? Well, what my intent here is to cover the dynamics of business as it applies to the maker community. How can you, as a small-scale cottage industry maker, get into business? What do you need to get into business? How do you do business? All those things I want to cover in this. And I want to take a lot of questions from you guys, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. Why? Because I feel it's important to share. I've worked almost 40 years to build up a repertoire of experience, and I want to share it. I've been very inspired by Titan Gilroy, Titans of CNC, the stuff he's doing, and I think it's critical for us to revisit manufacturing. I think, manufacturing over the years has gotten a bad rap. I think with technology where it is and the availability of technology, I think we're entering in a new era of manufacturing, and I want to be part of it, and I want to share my experience with you guys in this area so you can be successful. Trust me, guys, there's a ton of room out there. The world is a big place, and there's opportunities wherever you look. So it's not something that I can covet and take with me to the grave. So I want to share it, and that's the big thing about this. When? I'm going to try to do one of these weekly. I'm going to try. I'm not going to totally promise. I've got a very busy schedule. The majority of time, I'm traveling for business. I travel internationally a lot. That's why a lot of the videos you see on my channel, what I do is when I'm not traveling, I spend a lot of weekend time putting together these videos, and then I have them released over, a couple months on YouTube. And so that's why usually when you see a video, I've, already moved ahead 3 steps from there, and some of the times when I comment. But anyways, I'm going to really give it a try once a week, put out a video on this. But this is where I'm going to ask something from you guys. Ask questions below. Now, I may not answer all your questions below. Some of the simpler ones I will answer. I usually try on all my channels to answer the questions. But some of the more common questions like that make up this episode, I will answer as part of the of a future episode. And I may actually comment on it that, this will be part of a future episode. So with that being said, we've covered the who, what, why, and when. So next thing I want to jump to in this is really the key to this. And really the key to this is innovation, because the big question that I got was, all right, Mr. DIY3DTech.com, where do I get customers? I mean, I was deluged with this thing about getting customers, which scared me. It really, really scared me. Why did it scare me? Because if you're looking for customers, you're looking in the wrong place. This is the problem. What is capitalism about? It is about innovation. I had a bunch of people, I shouldn't say a bunch, I had a few people write me and say, oh, it's not about the lathe, it's about people. No, it's not about people, and I don't mean to get in a huge debate because there's a lot of complexities to business. But to make money, you have to have innovation. Steve Jobs proved that. Total asshole, but an innovative asshole, and he was successful. Bill Gates, the list goes on and on. It is innovation that drives it. And if you don't believe me, let's go talk to Ralph Waldo Emerson. So he's the one that said, build a better mousetrap in the world to beat a path to your door. That's the key. If you've got the best mousetrap, guess what? Customers will find you. And that is key out of this whole thing. Focus on a product, not finding customers, because they will come find you. There is a world out there for job shops. Guys like, Titan Gilroy, John Saunders over at NYCNC, they run job shops. There's an opportunity for job shops. That's a little bit different dynamic. And maybe I'll talk in a future video about job shopping and the concepts of that. But really, for the cottage maker, the piece is innovation. Now, what I kind of want to jump into this is I was thinking about this, so you guys are all out there rolling your eyes. Oh yeah, that's an easy answer. I ask you how to get customers and you tell me it's product. You're just changing it. Well, I thought of it this way. So let's take what started this, the mini lathe, right? So I got 41,000 views on this thing, good number of views, crazy number of views actually for my channel, where 6, 10, 12,000 views I usually consider good. So I decided, let's go take a look at things related to the mini lathe. How are people making money, as a good example? And so what I did, I just went to eBay and I typed in mini lathe. And what did I come up with? I came up with a ton of things. So I'll do some overlays for you guys on this, and this is just a small group example. So one of the first ones, example one, it's a lathe centering jig, if you will, to center your tool for your mini lathe or regular lathe tube. But they're selling this for $14.95. This is laser cut with a bubble level popped in it. Its cost, I could make this, because remember, I have what I call a hobby business. Makes reasonable money for a hobby business, pays for my hobby. So I make a lot of stuff like this, and I sell this. I do this stuff. These are not my things, but I do things very much like this. So I know what it costs to manufacture something like this. This thing is $0.25 at best. The bubble level is the most expensive piece. This is laser cut. Now, I'm going to talk about tools in the future, but a laser cutter should be your best friend. And I'll talk about that in a future episode, but be forewarned, I gave you another little tip up front. So with this laser cut level, and obviously they bought boxes of these Chinese levels, it's going to be less than 25 cents. Easy, less than 25 cents. And if I gear it up for crazy production, I could do this for under a dime, pennies really. Because I do something similar with a level like this. And I think these levels are like, I buy them low volume. When I talk low volume, I think like 50 a piece, and they're like a nickel or something like that. And then so you have the acrylic for the laser cut time, quarter tops. Okay, so this guy's selling at $14.95. He sold 298 of them on this one listing alone. I'm only taking this one listing alone. He's turned a total return of $4,455. Now, you do the math. We'll just say it's $0.25 a piece. What's his profit margin? This is a crazy profit margin, folks. Now, the other piece to understand, you're not going to get rich off one product. You're going to have a portfolio of products. If you follow me on Thingiverse, I have almost 200 products out there that I've designed, 200 designs. So think about that. If you're making this type of margin off 200, 100, even 50, That is a huge margin. Did this guy go out looking for customers? No. He went out and sought a product. He put the product out there, and people obviously are buying it, or he wouldn't have 289 of them sold. So let's take a look at another example. Here we have another centering widget, if you will. This seller is asking $16.45. Now they have sold 471. This person has yielded $7,744 off basically a unit cost of around 25 cents. Now this has, as you can see, a little bit bigger body to it, a little bit more acrylic. Acrylic is not cheap. Again, so I rate the first one sub 25 cents. I'm saying this one is 25 cents, maybe. Look at the profit margin, this guy, 471. Did this guy go looking for customers? No. He went looking for a product. He built a product. He put it out there because the product was a better mousetrap. People are buying it. Also, look at the difference between the two. Even though the other one is cheaper, $14.95 versus $16.45, who sold more? Now, in a future episode, again, I'm going to talk a little bit more about product design. One of the things on this channel, as you've seen, I've been doing the Design Talk series. I think this is important. Watch for it to come out. I've put a whole piece together because I think this is the number one important thing for anyone wishing to be in the business of making something, is to be able to design something. And I'll talk a little bit more about it, but I still got one more. I got one more for you guys. So I wanted to go to something 3D printed because these two are laser cut, obviously. So these 3D printed tool holders. Now I've actually designed these. You'll see me come out with one of these in one of my mini lathe series. So these are pretty cool. It clips on the back, in my case, the Harbor Freight mini mill. Now, they're asking 16, I think you get 4 of them or something. So now 9 have been sold, yielding only $144. Now, you may say, Mr. DIY3dtech.com, $144 is not a lot of money. But as I've already shared with you, number one product isn't going to make you rich. Number two, $144, cost on this for this person, has, maybe $5, $6. Electricity, frankly, here will probably be the bigger cost of this than even the plastic. So with this, that's, roughly $120, $130 you didn't have. Now, the one piece with this, and again, I'll cover this in a future episode, I think the price point's too high. The one thing in business, you always have to learn, what is your price to your market? So do you want to sell at a higher profit margin fewer, or do you want to sell at a lower profit margin more? Where is your break-even point? This is something you have to understand. My 2 cents, this guy at $16 is way too much money, and that's why he's only sold 9. But he has sold 9. That's the key part. So he's got a product, he's selling it, and there are a number of these. And also, if you look, I've only picked 3 examples. There's a bunch more of these. So if you look at the total in the chuck centering, in the tool holding, and all these things, it adds up to a lot of money. So again, seek a product. And I'm only using one example, the mini lathe. When I wake up in the morning, this is the first thing I do, is I think about what new type of product can I design to solve some sort of problem. Again, if you go back, look at my almost 200 designs on Thingiverse and my factory and everything else, they also solve some sort of problem. That's what's key. You need to wake up every morning looking for that problem and be able to design a solution. All right, so we now covered that, because the other piece I want to talk a little bit about as we wrap this up is the distance from part design and conception is closing on part creation. And here's a good example. One of the things you'll see coming up, and if you look out on Thingiverse, it's already on Thingiverse, and I'll give you guys a little hint. You'll usually see stuff on Thingiverse before you see it on the channel, because as I mentioned, I travel for work, so I release these over time, but I usually put them out on Thingiverse in real time. So I designed this tool post grinder holder. I designed it in OpenSCAD. took me, so I maybe give you a little backstory. So I'm doing the mini mill project, right? I needed to do couplers. I needed to center grub holes, screws on a rod. I needed a solution. I needed it quick. I designed this in OpenSCAD, printed it out. Within a couple hours, I had a solution, drilled my grub holes, moved on. This is my point. When you look at designing something, when you look at seeking that product, understand that the product design to delivery phase is getting closer every day with technology, between the technology itself, between materials science. So the opportunity is going to do nothing but grow. However, the key is you have to know how to design. So if you're looking for a skill set to build, design is the skill set you need. Now, the other thing, Nerdly did an interesting episode the other day on business. I really liked the guy, and he was talking about how he was mentoring someone, and they're like, oh, I'm not going to pay somebody to do the cam, blah, blah, blah. If you can't do the design, hire somebody. If you have the idea and you feel strongly about it, hire somebody. Don't get caught up into this thing, I've got to do it myself. Even I will hire out pieces of things to get it done, because the goal is delivering a business product. So if you want to do this for fun and a hobby and everything else, and you want to go through some of the gyrations, that's great. And partly you should to learn this, because you at least need to learn it to a certain extent, but you also have to judge from a business aspect where you're going to end up to your business goal. If you can sell 200 parts and you're procrastinating paying somebody $100 to design it or lay it out in Fusion 360, you're being foolish. So pay the money, get it done, get it out there, figure out how to do it for yourself if that's what you want to do later. You need to multiply your talent. And this is something, again, we'll talk about. So there's, as you can see, as I've gone through this episode, there is a lot of stuff to talk about when building a business. It's a never-ending, Deming cycle, if you will. With this being said, as I've already mentioned, please hit me up in the comments below if you have questions. If it's a simple question, I'll try answering it right there in the comments. If it's a more complex question, or a lot of people like this question, where do I find customers, is being asked, then I will create a video. Again, I expect this to be interactive with you guys. Go ahead, pick my brain. I'm happy to share with you. That was back in the who, what, where, and why phase of this. So anyways, hopefully you found it interesting. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. Please share. Please comment. Please ask questions. Swag Shop will be up in the corner, and we'll see you in the next episode of Biz Talk 101. Cheers.
Please click like below and subscribe to the channel.